The research vessel Celestial Harmony drifted through the darkness of space. Its elegant blue hull gleamed under the light of distant stars. Inside, Nilara checked the readings on her monitor for the 5th time. Her blue skin reflected the soft glow of the ship's instruments. Anomaly readings are getting stronger, she said to herself. Her slender fingers moved quickly over the control panel. Nilara belonged to the Asari, a respected species known for their scientific achievements. At just 120 years old, she was considered young by her people's standards. This deep space mission was her first major assignment as lead researcher. The ship carried 20 crew members, all focused on studying strange energy patterns in this unexplored sector. Captain Varen had given Nilara full authority over the HFY mission's scientific aspects. Approaching the source of the anomaly, announced Kayla, the navigation officer. Sensors show unusual gravitational patterns. Nilara nodded, her eyes fixed on the data flowing across her screen. Maintain distance, I want to observe before. A violent shake interrupted her words. The ship lurched sideways, throwing Nilara against the wall. Warning alarms blared throughout. The vessel. What's happening? She called out, pulling herself back to her station. Gravitational wave, Kayla shouted over the noise. Much stronger than our readings suggested. It's pulling us in. Captain Varen's voice came through the comm. System. All hands brace for emergency maneuvers. Engineering, give me everything you've got. The ship's engines roared as they fought against the invisible force dragging them toward the nearby planet. Nilara held onto her console as the vessel shuddered. Around her. The wave is affecting our systems, reported the engineer. Her voice strained. Drive core destabilizing. Nilara watched in horror as the planet grew larger in the view screen. Its surface was mostly green, covered with dense forests and vast oceans. Under different circumstances, she might have found it beautiful. We can't break free, Captain Varen announced. Prepare for emergency landing procedures. Get to the escape pods. The crew moved quickly, years of training taking over. Nilara grabbed her emergency pack and research data before rushing toward the escape section. The ship groaned around her as the hull began to heat from atmospheric entry. She reached the main escape pod just as another violent shake sent her sprawling to the floor. Looking up, she saw Captain Varen helping her to her feet. Get in, he ordered, pushing her toward the pod where 5 other crew members already waited. But the others, Nilara began. No time. The ship is breaking apart. The captain sealed the door once she was inside. Through the small window, Nilara watched as the captain ran toward another pod. Before he reached it, a section of the ceiling collapsed. She screamed, but no one outside could hear her. The escape. Pod launched automatically, shooting away from the dying research vessel. Nilara and the others were pressed into their seats as the pod entered the planet's atmosphere. Brace for impact, shouted Maris, the security officer. The pod crashed through the upper canopy of an immense forest. Metal screeched against massive tree trunks. The occupants were thrown against their restraints. Something hard hit Nilara's head, and darkness took her. She woke to someone shaking her shoulder. Researcher Nilara, wake up. We need to move. Nilara opened her eyes to see Maris standing over her. The security officer had a cut across her forehead, but seemed otherwise unharmed. What happened? Nilara asked, her voice hoarse. We crashed. The pod's systems are damaged. Maris helped her stand. We've been trying to contact the other pods, but there's no response. Nilara looked around. The escape pod had come to rest in a small clearing. 3 other crew members were outside gathering supplies from the damaged craft. She recognized Kayla, the navigator, Dr. Solon, the medical officer, and Terrace, the communications specialist. Where's Zine? She asked, noticing one missing crew member who had been in their pod. Maris looked away. He didn't make it. Impact trauma. Nilara closed her eyes briefly. There would be time to mourn later. And the ship? The other pods? We detected several crash signatures within 20 kilometers, said Terrace, approaching them. The communications specialist limped slightly. But our equipment is damaged. We can't establish contact. Nilara stepped out of the pod and took her first breath of alien air. It was rich with unfamiliar scents. Thick vegetation, strange flowers, and something musky she couldn't identify. The forest around them was unlike anything she had seen before. The trees reached impossibly high, their trunks wider than buildings. Strange calls echoed from the distance. "We need to find the others," she said, "and activate the emergency beacon." Dr. Solon joined them, medical kit in hand. The beacon was damaged in the crash. Terrace thinks she can repair it, but it will take time. "How much time?" Nilara asked. "A day, maybe 2, Terrace replied. "I need parts from the main ship." Kayla pointed through the trees. "I calculated the main ship's trajectory before we ejected. It should be about 15 kilometers in that direction." Nilara nodded. "We'll set up camp here for now. Tomorrow we can—" A loud roar interrupted her. It came from somewhere in the Igar forest not too far away. The sound was deep and primal, sending chills down Nilara's spine. "What was that?" Dr. Solon whispered. "I don't know," Nilara replied, "but I think we should get back in the pod." "Agreed," said Maris, drawing her sidearm. "Everyone inside, now." They retreated into the damaged escape pod. Maris and Terrace worked to seal the bent door as best they could. Night was falling quickly, darkness spreading through the forest, from the pod's window. Nilara watched as strange lights began to appear among the trees. Bioluminescent plants and insects coming alive in the darkness. Under different circumstances, she would have been fascinated. Another roar echoed through the forest, closer this time. Then another answered from a different direction. The planet wasn't classified as inhabited, Kayla said quietly. "It wasn't classified at all," Nilara corrected her. "This system was only marked for initial survey. No detailed scans had been completed." "Well, something lives here," Maris said grimly. "And it sounds big." Through the night, they took turns, watching. Strange sounds surrounded their crashed pod. Roars, howls, and hisses unlike anything they had heard before. Occasionally, they caught glimpses of large shapes moving between the trees. By morning, they had made a decision. They would need to reach the main ship to repair the beacon and find other survivors. But the forest around them was alive with danger. They were trapped on a world they knew nothing about, surrounded by creatures they couldn't identify. As dawn broke, Nilara looked out at the alien landscape. Somewhere out there were answers and possibly other survivors. But between them and safety lay a forest full of monsters. "We need a plan," she said to the others. "And we need it soon." Morning light filtered through the dense forest canopy. Nilara and her 4 companions stood outside their damaged escape pod, planning their next move. "The main ship should be in that direction," Kayla said, pointing northwest. "About 15 kilometers through the forest." "That's a long walk through unknown territory," Maris noted, checking her weapon. The security officer had only 1 pistol with a limited power cell. "And we don't know what's out there." As if answering her concern, a distant roar echoed through the trees. It was the same sound they had heard throughout the night. "We need to know what we're dealing with," Nilara said. She activated her wrist device and scanned the area. "The air is breathable but has higher oxygen levels than we're used to. That might explain the size of the vegetation." Dr. Solon nodded. "Higher oxygen could also support larger animal life." "Like whatever made that sound," Terrace added nervously. Nilara climbed onto the top of the escape pod for a better view. The forest stretched in all directions. In the distance, a column of smoke rose above the trees. "I see smoke," she called down. "Could be the main ship or another pod." "Or survivors making a signal," Maris suggested. They gathered what supplies they could from the pod. Each person carried a small pack with emergency rations, water, and basic tools. Maris led the way, weapon ready, while Nilara used her scanner to map their path. The forest was unlike any they had seen before. Massive trees towered above them, their trunks wider than buildings. Strange plants with purple and blue leaves covered the ground. Occasionally, small flying creatures darted between branches, chirping in alarm at the strangers. "The plant life is amazing," Nilara said, recording data as they walked. "This could be an important discovery. If we survive to report it," Maris said grimly. They had walked for about an hour when Terrace spotted something ahead. "Look there," she pointed. "Between those trees." A large, dark shape lay on the forest floor. As they approached cautiously, they saw it was the body of a creature unlike anything in their records. It resembled a massive lizard with 6 legs and a long spiked tail. Its mouth was filled with rows of sharp teeth. "It's dead," Maris confirmed, keeping her weapon aimed. At it, Nilara scanned it with her device. "Fascinating. Its body structure suggests it's a predator, about 4 meters long, heavily muscled." "What killed it?" Dr. Solon asked, examining the corpse. There were deep gashes across the creature's throat and side. "Something bigger," Maris said quietly. "Something stronger." A chill ran through the group. If this massive predator had been killed so easily, what else lurked in the forest? They continued their journey, moving more cautiously now. The forest grew denser and the sounds around them changed. The cheerful chirping gave way to low growls and rustling in the undergrowth. "We're being watched," Maris whispered, her eyes scanning the trees. "My scanner is picking up several large life forms," Nilara confirmed. "They're circling us." "How many?" Kayla asked, fear edging her voice. "At least 6, maybe more." They formed a tight circle, backs together. Maris raised her weapon, though they all knew one pistol wouldn't be enough against multiple predators. "There." Terrace pointed to movement in the bushes. A creature emerged, similar to the dead one they had found but larger. Its scales were dark green with red stripes along its back. Yellow eyes fixed on them with predatory focus. It made a clicking sound and more creatures appeared from different directions. "They hunt in packs," Nilara whispered, "like social predators." "What do we do?" Dr. Solon asked. Maris fired a warning shot into the air. The creatures flinched at the noise but didn't retreat. Instead, they began to spread out, surrounding the group. "They're smart," Nilara realized. "They're coordinating their attack." One creature lunged forward. Maris fired, hitting it in the shoulder. It shrieked and fell back, but the others used the distraction to close in. "Run!" Maris shouted. "Head for those rocks." They broke into a sprint toward a rocky outcrop about 50 meters away. The creatures roared and charged after them. Nilara could hear their heavy bodies crashing through the undergrowth behind her. Terrace screamed as one creature leaped at her. Dr. Solon pulled her away just in time, and they continued running. They reached the rocks and scrambled up, the smooth surface making it difficult for the creatures to follow. From this higher position, Maris had a better angle to fire at the predators. "I'm calling them shredders," Kayla said, breathing hard. "Because of those teeth." The shredders circled the rocks, looking for a way up. One tried to climb, but slid back down, its claws unable to grip the smooth stone. "They can't climb," Nilara observed. "That's good to know." "But they can wait," Maris said. "And we need to keep moving." They were trapped. The shredders showed no signs of leaving, and the group couldn't stay on the rocks forever. Nilara studied the creatures, noting their behavior. "They're intelligent. See how they position themselves to cut off escape routes?" "Great," Terrace said sarcastically. "Smart monsters." As day turned to evening, they remained stranded on the rocks. The shredders kept watch, occasionally testing the defenses. Maris used her weapon sparingly, knowing the power cell wouldn't last long. "We need a plan," Nilara said. "We can't stay here, but we can't fight them either." In the distance, they saw an unusual structure rising above the trees. It wasn't natural. The straight lines and regular shapes suggested it was built. "What is that?" Kayla asked, pointing. Nilara used her scanner. "It appears to be ruins of some kind. Artificial construction." "You mean someone lived on this planet?" Terrace asked. "Or still does," Dr. Solon added. Hope sparked in Nilara. If there had been an advanced civilization here, perhaps there was technology they could use to repair their beacon. "We need to reach those ruins," she said. "There might be something there to help us." "But how do we get past them?" Kayla gestured to the shredders still circling below. Nilara thought for a moment. "We need a distraction." She dug through her pack and found an emergency flare. If I activate this and throw it far enough, it might draw them away long enough for us to run. It's risky, Maris said, but I don't see another option. As night fell, they put their plan into action. Nilara activated the flare, which burst into bright red light and threw it as far as she could into the forest. The shredders immediately turned toward the light and sound, their predatory instincts triggered. Now, Maris whispered. They climbed down the opposite side of the rocks and ran toward the distant ruins. Behind them, they heard roars as the shredders realized their prey had escaped. They're coming back, Terrace called. The chase was on again. Through the dark forest they ran, guided only by glimpses of the ruins ahead and the sounds of pursuit behind. Nilara's lungs burned. The Asari were not built for this kind of exertion. She could hear the others struggling too, their breathing labored. The shredders were gaining. We're not going to make it, Kayla gasped. Suddenly, Nilara's foot caught on a root. She fell hard, pain shooting up her leg. The others stopped to help her. Go, she urged them. I'll distract them. We're not leaving you, Dr. Solon insisted, helping her up. But it was too late. The shredders broke through the trees behind them, teeth gleaming in the moonlight. Split up, Maris ordered. They can't follow all of us. The group scattered. Nilara limped toward a narrow canyon, hoping the tight space would limit the number of creatures that could follow her. She heard shots from Maris's weapon, then screams. She didn't look back. She couldn't. All she could do was keep moving, one painful step at a time, as the sounds of pursuit grew closer. Nilara limped deeper into the narrow canyon. Pain shot through her ankle with every step. Behind her, she could hear the shredders closing in, their claws scraping against stone as they followed her scent. The canyon walls rose high on both sides, offering no escape routes. Moonlight barely reached the rocky floor, making it hard to see where she was going. She stumbled forward, one hand pressed against the cold stone wall for balance. The canyon took a sharp turn ahead. Nilara rounded the corner and froze. Her path ended at a sheer rock wall. It was a dead end. No, she whispered, pressing her back against the wall. She looked up, hoping to find a way to climb, but the walls were too smooth, too steep. The clicking sounds of the shredders grew louder. They were taking their time now, sensing their prey was trapped. Nilara pulled out her scanner, the blue light illuminating her face. Perhaps there was something in the device she could use as a weapon. A large shadow appeared at the canyon entrance. The lead shredder, bigger than the others, stepped into view. Its yellow eyes gleamed in the darkness. As it focused on Nilara, behind it more shadows gathered. Nilara raised her scanner, knowing it would do little good. The Asari were not warriors by nature. Their strength lay in their minds, not their bodies. On this savage world, that was a fatal weakness. The lead shredder lowered its head and tensed its powerful legs, preparing to charge. Nilara closed her eyes, thinking of her homeworld's blue skies and gentle seas. If she was going to die, she wanted a beautiful final thought. A sharp crack echoed through the canyon, followed by a high-pitched shriek. Nilara's eyes snapped open. The lead shredder lay on the ground, dark blood pooling beneath it. The other creatures backed away, confused and alarmed. Another crack and a second shredder fell. The remaining predators scattered, their fearsome confidence suddenly gone. Nilara looked around wildly, trying to find the source of the sounds. Had her crew members found her? Had Maris somehow reached her with the pistol? A figure jumped down from the canyon wall, landing between Nilara and the fallen shredders. It was too tall to be an Asari, its body more solidly built. In its hands was a long object that Nilara didn't recognize. The figure turned, and Nilara gasped. It was unlike any species she had encountered in her travels. It stood on two legs like an Asari, but that's where the similarities ended. Its skin was a light brown color, not blue. It had hair on its head, short and dark. And its face, strange yet somehow familiar, had two eyes, a nose and a mouth. But the proportions were different. "Are you hurt?" the creature asked in a deep voice. Nilara was too shocked to reply. The creature spoke. It used words she understood. The figure stepped closer, and Nilara pressed herself harder against the wall. "I'm not going to hurt you," it said, lowering the object in its hands. "My name is Alex Riley. I'm human." "Human?" Nilara repeated. She had heard of humans. They were a relatively new species in the galactic community, having achieved faster than light, travel only recently, but she had never met one in person. "Yes, human," Alex confirmed. "And you're not from around here, are you?" Nilara shook her head. "My name is Nilara. I'm Asari. Our research ship crashed. We were studying space anomalies when..." A roar from further down the canyon interrupted her. The shredders were regrouping, their initial fear giving way to anger. "Tell me later," Alex said, raising the object again. "Right now, we need to move. Can you walk?" Nilara tried to step forward but winced as pain shot through her ankle. "It's injured." Without hesitation, Alex moved to her side and put an arm around her waist. "Lean on me. We need to get to higher ground." The human was remarkably strong. Nilara found herself lifted almost off her feet as they moved quickly along the canyon wall. Alex guided her to a narrow path she hadn't noticed before, partially hidden behind a rock formation. "This way," the human said. "Watch your step." The path climbed steeply up the canyon wall. Nilara struggled to keep up, her injured ankle, making each step painful. Behind them, the sounds of pursuit grew louder. "They're coming," she warned. "I know," Alex replied calmly. "Just a little further." They reached a small cave entrance about halfway up the canyon wall. Alex helped Nilara inside, then turned to face the path, raising the strange object again. "What is that?" Nilara asked, pointing to the thing in Alex's hands. "This? It's a rifle. A weapon." The human's eyes never left the path as he spoke. "Projectile-based. Primitive by your standards, probably, but effective against these creatures." The first shredder appeared, on the path below. Alex aimed the rifle and fired. The creature fell backwards, tumbling down the steep slope. "How long have you been here?" Nilara asked, watching in amazement as the human calmly reloaded the weapon. 3 years, 2 months, 14 days, Alex answered. "My exploration vessel crashed. I was the only survivor. 3 years alone on this deadly planet. Nilara could hardly imagine it. How did you survive?" Alex glanced back at her, a small smile appearing on the human's face. "Humans are adaptable. We evolved on a planet not too different from this one." More shredders appeared below. Alex fired twice more, then pulled something from a pocket. It was a small metal object. The human pulled a pin from it, threw it down. The path then quickly moved back into the cave, covering Nilara with their body. A tremendous explosion shook the canyon. Rocks and debris rained down, blocking the path they had climbed. "That should hold them for a while," Alex said, moving away from Nilara. "But we need to keep moving. This cave connects to a tunnel system that leads to my shelter." Nilara stared at the human in wonder. You saved my life." Alex shrugged. "Anyone would have done the same." "No." Nilara shook her head. "Most species would not risk themselves for a stranger, especially not on a world like this." The human helped Nilara to her feet. "Let's get that ankle looked at. Then you can tell me about your ship and the others who were with you." As they moved deeper into the cave, Nilara studied her rescuer. Humans were considered a minor species in galactic politics, their technology less advanced, their colonies few. They had been viewed as curiosities at best, primitives at worst. Yet this human had survived alone for 3 years on a planet that had nearly killed Nilara and her crew in less than a day. The others? Nilara remembered suddenly. "My crew, members. They ran in different directions when the shredders attacked. We need to find them." "We will," Alex assured her. "But first we need to get you safe. Night on this planet belongs to the predators. We'll search for your friends at dawn." They reached a larger chamber deep in the cave system. It was surprisingly well equipped. Metal containers lined one wall. A small fire burned in a carefully constructed pit, vented through a natural chimney in the rock. Dried meats hung from racks, and various tools and weapons were organized on stone shelves. "Welcome to my temporary home," Alex said, helping Nilara to sit on a makeshift bed of soft furs. "It's not much, but it's safe." Nilara looked around in amazement. "You built all this yourself?" Alex nodded, kneeling to examine her injured ankle. The human's touch was surprisingly gentle for someone so strong. "It's not broken," Alex announced, after careful examination. "Just a bad sprain, I'll wrap it for you." As the human worked, Nilara had a realization. Everything she thought she knew about humans might be wrong. This was not a primitive being fumbling with basic technology. This was a survivor, intelligent and resourceful. And for the first time since the crash, Nilara felt something she had lost. Hope. Morning light filtered through small cracks in the cave ceiling. Nilara opened her eyes, momentarily confused by her surroundings. Then the memories flooded back, the crash, the shredders, and the human who had saved her life. Alex was already awake, checking equipment and packing supplies into a worn backpack. The human moved with purpose, each action efficient and practiced. "How's your ankle?" Alex asked, noticing Nilara was awake. Nilara moved her foot carefully. The pain had lessened, thanks to the tight wrap and some kind of paste Alex had applied the night before. "Better," she replied. "What was that medicine you used?" "Local plant. The natives call it healing leaf," Alex explained. "I learned which plants help and which ones kill through trial and error, mostly error at first." Nilara sat up, studying her rescuer in the better light. Alex was taller than an Asari, with broader shoulders and stronger limbs. The human skin showed numerous scars, testament to years of survival on this hostile planet. "You said we would look for my friends today," Nilara reminded. Alex nodded. "We will, but first, breakfast." The human offered her a strip of dried meat. "It's not fancy, but it's protein." Nilara accepted it hesitantly. The meat was tough, but surprisingly flavorful. As they ate, she explained about their research mission, the anomaly that had pulled their ship down and the crash that separated the crew. "So there could be more survivors?" Alex asked. "Yes. At least 4 of my crew were with me when the shredders attacked. We scattered in different directions." Nilara paused. "I heard Maris firing her weapon, then screams. I don't know if any of them survived." "Your friend with the weapon might have," Alex said. "The others? We'll see." The human's tone was matter-of-fact, not unkind but realistic. "These forests are dangerous, especially at night." They finished eating and prepared to leave. Alex handed Nilara a long stick. "Use this for balance. Stay close to me, and if I say run, you run, understand?" Nilara nodded, gripping the staff. She had so many questions for this strange human, but they would have to wait. They left the cave through a narrow tunnel that emerged on the far side of the canyon. Alex led the way, rifle ready, eyes constantly scanning their surroundings. Nilara was impressed by the human's awareness, the way Alex noticed every sound, every movement in the forest. "How did humans evolve?" she asked as they walked. "Your species must have faced incredible challenges to develop such survival skills." Alex glanced back with a small smile. "Earth, our home planet, was no paradise. Predators, diseases, extreme weather. Those who couldn't adapt died. Those who could passed on their genes. Like this planet," Nilara observed. "Similar in some ways, yes. Higher gravity here, more oxygen, bigger predators. But the basic rules are the same." Alex paused to examine tracks on the ground. "Life is hard. You adapt, or you die." The directness of the statement surprised Nilara. Asari philosophy emphasized harmony and cooperation. They had evolved on a world with fewer dangers, their society advancing through intellectual development rather than physical prowess. "Your species values different things than mine," she said. "We seek knowledge, art, understanding. Physical strength wasn't necessary for our survival." Different paths, same destination, Alex replied. Intelligence is just another adaptation. Humans use both our minds and bodies to survive. We had to. They continued through the forest, Alex following signs Nilara couldn't even see. Broken twigs, disturbed soil, marks on trees. The human moved with quiet confidence, choosing paths that avoided predator territories. There, Alex said suddenly, pointing ahead. Someone went that way recently. The plants are crushed. They followed the trail to a small stream. There, huddled on a rock in the middle of the water, they found Dr. Solon. The medical officer was pale and exhausted but alive. "Nilara," Dr. Solon called, relief flooding her face. "You survived, and you... Who is that with you?" "This is Alex, a human," Nilara explained as they helped Dr. Solon to shore. "Alex saved me from the shredders." Dr. Solon stared at the human with open curiosity. "A human? Out here? How remarkable." Alex gave a short nod. "We need to keep moving. The water kept you safe overnight. Shredders don't like to swim, but there are other predators who do." "Have you seen the others?" Nilara asked Dr. Solon. "Maris? Kayla? Terrace?" "I saw Maris and Terrace running toward the ruins," Dr. Solon replied. "I don't know about Kayla. I fell down a slope and ended up at this stream. I waded out to that rock and stayed there all night." Alex looked toward the distant ruins visible above the tree line. "If your friends reach the ruins, they might still be alive. The old structures are mostly stone, good defensive positions." "Then that's where we'll go," Nilara decided. They made their way through the forest, Alex leading, Nilara helping Dr. Solon, who was weak from her night on the rock. The human showed them which plants were safe to eat, which water sources were clean, constantly teaching them how to survive in this harsh environment. "How do you know so much about this planet?" Dr. Solon asked after Alex identified yet another dangerous plant they should avoid. "When I crashed, I knew nothing," Alex explained. "I made mistakes, got sick, nearly died several times, but I observed, tested, learned. That's how humans survive. We figure things out." "Remarkable," Dr. Solon murmured. "Our scientific method applied to raw survival." By midday, they had reached the edge of the forest. Ahead lay a wide clearing with the ancient ruins at its center. The structures were massive, stone buildings and towers rising from the grassy plain. Some had collapsed, but many still stood, their surfaces covered with unfamiliar symbols. "Who built these?" Nilara wondered. "I don't know," Alex replied. "They were abandoned long before I arrived. I've explored some of them, but not all. Too many places for predators to hide." They observed the ruins from the forest edge. There was no sign of movement, no indication that Maris and Terrace, or anyone else, had reached the structures. "How do we cross the clearing safely?" Dr. Solon asked. "There's no cover. We run," Alex said simply. "Stay together. Head for that building with the round dome. It has only one entrance, easy to defend." Nilara looked at her injured ankle, then at the wide-open space they would need to cross. "I'll slow you down. Then I'll carry you," Alex stated, as if it were the most obvious solution. Before Nilara could protest, a distant roar caught their attention. From the far side of the ruins, a large pack of shredders emerged, at least 15 of the creatures, moving in formation. "They're hunting something," Alex said, raising a pair of worn binoculars to look closer. Through the lenses, the human spotted two figures running between the ruins, pursued by the predators. One fired shots back at the creatures to little effect. "Your friends," Alex confirmed. "They're alive, but not for long. Those shredders have them cornered." Dr. Solon gasped. "We have to help them." Alex stared at the scene, calculating odds that Nilara couldn't even guess at. Then the human nodded. "Yes, we do." Alex turned to them, face serious but determined. "I have a plan. It's dangerous, but it's the only chance your friends have." Nilara looked at the human. this remarkable being who had survived alone for years, on a world that had nearly killed her in a day, who had saved her without hesitation, who was now ready to risk everything for people they had never met. "Tell us what to do," she said. Alex's plan was simple but dangerous. The human would create a distraction while Nilara and Dr. Solon helped their friends escape to the domed building. "I'll draw the shredders away," Alex explained, checking the rifle and pulling out several small explosive devices. "When they follow me, get your friends and run for the dome. I'll meet you there." "It's too risky," Nilara protested. "There are too many of them." Alex gave her a confident smile. "Trust me, this isn't my first pack of shredders." Before Nilara could argue further, Alex was gone, moving silently through the tall grass toward the far side of the ruins. Nilara and Dr. Solon watched anxiously as Maris and Taris backed against a fallen column, surrounded by shredders. Maris's weapon was pointed at the creatures, but she wasn't firing. The power cell must be drained. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the far side of the ruins, then another. The shredders turned toward the noise, confused. A third explosion closer this time, followed by a shout. Alex stood on top of a broken wall, waving arms to attract attention. Most of the shredders immediately charged toward the human. Alex fired at the lead creature, then jumped down and ran, drawing them away from Maris and Taris. "Now," Nilara said to Dr. Solon. They ran from their hiding place toward their stranded friends. "Nilara!" Taris cried when she saw them. "We thought you were dead." "No time to explain," Nilara said. "Follow us. Quickly." 3 shredders had remained behind, still focused on Maris and Taris. Maris threw her empty weapon at one creature, hitting it in the eye. It shrieked in pain, giving them a moment to run. The 4 Asari raced toward the domed building, the 3 shredders in close pursuit. Nilara's ankle throbbed with each step, but fear kept her moving. The entrance to the dome seemed impossibly far away. A roar behind them. One shredder was gaining, almost within striking distance of Taris. Nilara looked back in horror, knowing they wouldn't all make it. A shot rang out. The shredder tumbled to the ground. Alex appeared from between 2 columns, firing rapidly. The remaining predators fell and the human ran to join the group. "Inside! Now!" Alex ordered. They reached the domed building and rushed through the entrance. Alex pulled a lever, and a heavy stone door slid closed behind them, sealing them inside. "You saved us," Maris said, staring at the human in amazement. "Who are you?" "Alex Riley, human explorer." Alex replied simply, checking that everyone was unharmed. "We need to keep moving. This place isn't just a shelter." Inside, the building opened into a vast chamber. The walls were covered with symbols and images that glowed with faint blue light. In the center stood a large metal structure. "What is this place?" Nilara asked, running her hand over the glowing symbols. "It's a communication relay," Alex explained. "Built by humans." "Humans?" Dr. Solon gasped. "But that's impossible. According to galactic records, humans only achieved space travel 30 years ago." Alex touched a panel, and the symbols brightened. "Official records aren't always complete. A small group of human explorers reached this system over a century ago. They built these structures as waypoints." Nilara examined the symbols more carefully. They weren't alien at all. They were stylized human writing. "Why didn't they return?" she asked. "They did," Alex said. "But they kept their discoveries secret. Human politics were complicated then. My mission was to find this lost outpost and activate the old communication systems." "Can you use it to call for help?" Maris asked. Alex nodded. "That's why I've been trying to reach these ruins. My own ship's transmitter was destroyed in the crash. But this relay, if I can repair it, could send a signal strong enough to reach nearby systems." Working quickly, Alex opened panels in the central structure, examining the ancient technology inside. The human's knowledge of the system was impressive. Nilara and the others helped where they could, following Alex's instructions. "There," Alex said finally, closing the last panel. "It's working. The signal is broadcasting." "How long until someone receives it?" Taris asked, Hours, maybe days, Alex admitted. We'll need to defend this position until then. As if on cue, a chorus of roars echoed outside. The shredders had regrouped, bringing more of their kind. They began battering against the stone door. It will, hold, Alex assured them. But we should prepare for a long wait. Looking at the human who had saved them all, Nilara made a decision. When they returned to galactic civilization, she would tell the truth about humans. Not primitive newcomers, but resourceful survivors with untapped potential. The galaxy needed allies like them for the challenges ahead. Outside, the monsters continued their assault. Inside, the 5 survivors prepared their defense, now united in purpose, human and Asari together against the dangers of this harsh world, waiting for rescue that would surely come.